what we want to do today, we want to go through three things, do a quick introduction. So I'll talk a little bit about myself and Spencer, so you understand a little bit more about us. I think that helps set the scene. And then what we're going to do is literally share 5 gems. Spencer mentioned the word gem already. We're going to go through 5 gems that are going to help you innovate your way out of a crisis. I think more than ever, we need to be thinking about new ideas, new ways of doing things, so that we can, well, the thinking that that you had that got you into the problem isn't going to be the same, isn't going to help you get out of it again. So we've got to do a new type of thinking, and that's what we're going to share in these 5 gems. And then we'll wrap up with the Q&A. And Spencer, do you want to say a little bit about the Q&A as well?
So we've done a few of these sessions with Jay before, and actually the QA has been incredibly powerful. And quite often we get so many amazing questions that we actually run over. So Nick and I and John, I'm sure, are going to be very happy to run over, to carry on past the hour if we need to. We're going to try and leave at least 15 minutes for Q&A. But if you're happy to stick around afterwards and make sure that we can get through all those questions, we're totally happy to do that as well, just to make sure we're covering everything off that you want to get answered. And if not, we'll take it onto social media somewhere else and carry on the conversation.
Brilliant. Okay, so quick introduction into myself. So my name's Nick. Follow me at Nick Chemo on Instagram, or connect with me, Nicholas Himovich, on LinkedIn. I'm a freelance strategy consultant, and I work with major global brands like Lego, American Express, Google. I'm also a program facilitator for the I'm Remarkable initiative at Google. And I also am associate professor of innovation and entrepreneurship at the University of Exeter. And I also deliver there's a lot of alsos here. I deliver the Rapid Innovation Workshop at General Assembly. So that's a little bit about me. And do a little bit of an introduction for Spencer. So Spencer, we're very lucky to have him. He is one of the few people in the country that has taken a business from zero in revenue to millions in less than a year. That was with Makers Apprenticeships. And he's going to share some of his wisdom on the call. He's also now founder of Future Builders, which has had investment from Founders Factory and also Nesta. So fantastic experience from him that we're going to be able to really pull and draw on in this session today. Absolutely. And definitely follow him at the Spencer Ayres on Instagram, and connect with him on LinkedIn as well. Spencer, is there anything else that you want to jump in with on there that I've missed?
Mate, I love your intros for me, because I don't have the guts to say how awesome I am, and you do that for me, and it's just it feels quite humbling. But really happy to be here. I don't think I need to add anything at all.
It's so easy to do, because I'm honored to have you as a friend. So, and your experience is brilliant. So it's really easy to do. There you go. Okay. And also what we do, do you want to talk about this one, Spencer?
Yeah, we did. I guess for the last 6 months, we've decided we're having conversations all the time about business innovation, ideas, learning, all this kind of stuff. And we said, we should do a YouTube channel. So about 6 months ago, we started this. We've done it every single week since then. So we're really aiming for that consistency. If you get value from this today and you want to go and check it out, please go over to the Spen and Nick show on YouTube. It's also a podcast as well. Subscribe, hit the little bell icon as well to make sure that you're getting access to all the latest videos. I think there's going to be loads of content on there that you guys are going to feel is really valuable as well. So head over to the Spen and Nick show.
Yeah, brilliant. And maybe share a link to that in the chat box as well, so they've got that too.
You got it.
Perfect. So I want to talk about now, we're going to go into the 5 gems for this session today. I thought this was kind of a cool way to frame the session. So we're going to go through each one of these now. And I think if you apply these in your life right now, it's really going to help you to come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things that are going to help you really thrive after this whole crisis happening right now. So these are the 5 key gems. So before I go into that though, I do want to ask a question. I do like using the chat box. So I've got a statement here. Creativity is a what? I'm really interested to know, what do you think you could fill the gap with there from your perspective? Creativity is a what? Let us know. I'm interested to see your ideas on this, because we've got our ideas, but I really want to know what you think creativity is. So creativity is a what? Spencer, can you see any coming in?
I can see them coming in. Nick, when we were talking through this, I was like, someone's going to put superpower, and Abigail straight up there. Superpower is a skill, is a response, is a blessing, is a practice. Wow, is a mindset. Creativity is a gift. Wow, some amazing things. So creativity is powerful. It's human. It's freedom. Practice. Some amazing thoughts. It's
Wow, that is
opportunity.
brilliant. This is beautiful. So
Priceless stuff
I
here.
think it is all those things, and I think all those things lead on nicely to and are echoing what I'm trying to say here, which is this one. Here's a bit of a clue from our perspective,
From
which is that
Arnie.
creativity is a muscle. So I think totally I agree with it, that it's a skill, that it can be developed as long as you practice it. But if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So it's something you need to be using every day. And so we've got creativity as a muscle. And I was listening to the James Altucher show. I really like that podcast. I haven't listened to it recently, but it's one of my favorite podcasts. And James Altucher, what he talks about is this idea of how to become an ideas machine. And he shared this idea of what you need to do is when you go to the gym, you do reps of weights, right, to get stronger. But with creativity, you can do reps of creativity exercises to get stronger as well. And one thing that he talks about is doing reps of ideas. So he comes up with a list of 10 things every day. But you might say, a list of 10 what? And that's the thing, it doesn't matter. But you've just got to be practicing coming up with ideas. So you might come up with a list of 10 businesses you could start. You could start with, you could do a list of 10 places you want to travel to. You could do a list of 10 foods that you'd like to eat. You could do a list of 10 people that you could call to help you with your business, so you've got all these ideas and then you could come up with 10. And so at first, coming up with 1, maybe 2, or even 3 can be quite difficult. And you can start getting like a metaphorical sweat on because you're like trying to come up with ideas, but it can take you feel like, I can't think of any more. But when you push through that and try to get to 10, then that's how you start building the muscle. Because it's like when you break down your muscle, that's when and then you feed yourself, that's when it starts growing. It's the same thing with this. And so what I find is, because I do this every day, I find that I'm much better with generating ideas, and I'm also much better on the spot. So what I want to do is, this is a theme now that I've created that I want to go throughout the workshop for different exercises that you can apply using your creativity muscle, your creativity skill, to help you to innovate your way out of this global crisis that we're in at the moment. And I want to talk about this as well, because we're talking about creativity. I've got a question for you. Where do you have your best ideas? Could you put it in the chat box? Let us know. Where do you have your best ideas? While you're typing that in the chat box, I want to share some things that I've got here. So it's interesting because the CEO of Netflix, he says, quite on brand, that the living room watching TV is the best place, that the place where he has his best ideas. And then you've got Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, says that it's the front lawn, walking around in circles. And then you've got Evan Williams, the CEO, or the founder of Medium, and he says he has his best ideas when he's out about and he's walking. Spencer, what have some people said in the chat box?
It was funny because literally as soon as you said put it in the chat box, a couple of people just straight away put the shower. So I think that's a pretty big one. The shower is often where a lot of ideas happen.
That's my one.
This one.
Mine's the shower.
And from Eb or EB Hill, we've got the pub. So I guess lacking some ideas the last couple of months, but hopefully they're flourishing at the moment. In the bath.
Hopefully they'll come back again now.
Exactly. But also jogging, walking. I love the cafes and flat whites equals idea as well. Ideas, I think that's lovely. That's totally mine. Before sleeping at midnight. It's very specific. Exactly on the change of the hour, change of the day is when it happens. 0 ideas for the past few months because of the lack of pub. It's a shame. But walking and that kind of stuff as well. And one of the ones was, which I think is really relevant here, is like we're not doing kind of proper work. We're not thinking hard about actual work as well. So there's a kind of a theme coming out for sure.
Definitely. So from what I'm seeing as well, it's this point where you're relaxed, right?
Exactly.
And I think a major challenge with coming up with good ideas is that if you're tense, you're not going to be able to do it. And I think what happens is when we're going through a difficult time, we can get into a phase of, and when you're watching the news every day and it's just like difficult things happening all the time on the news, it's just a barrage of like negative news. What that does is it puts you into a state of fight or flight. Yeah. You become tense. Yeah. And when you're tense, you can't come up with good ideas. You tend to have your best ideas when you're relaxed. And since we're trying to create, we said at the beginning that you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that you did that got you into the problem in the first place. what we need to do is we need to get relaxed. We need to get calm. We need to get into a state of being in the present moment. And that's going to help us come up with solutions that are going to help us move forward and get out of this situation. So one thing that you can do, so the first thing is creativity is a muscle, is the first gem. But the second thing is that gratitude is a superpower. And I think this relates nicely to the person that already mentioned the idea of the superpower, and yourself, Spencer. So I was at a workshop in February, and I was lucky to meet this guy. I don't know if you know him. Are you familiar with this guy? The guy in the middle. He's the founder of the 5-Minute Journal. And it's one of the top best-selling journals in the US. I think he's done well over 250,000 copies sold. And one thing that he says in it is that, well, as part of the exercise, you've got to write 3 things that you're grateful for in the morning, and you've got to write down 3 amazing things that happened that day. Yeah. So there's a lot of gratitude that he's trying to get you to do. And I think gratitude is so important, because when you're grateful, it's really hard to be tense. It's really hard to be worrying about something else when you're focused on being grateful, right?
It's so hard. It's like,
very.
I've been thinking about this because, Nick, if I try and do this, right? Nick, I'm so thankful for all of the support. Like, you just can't do it. I automatically start laughing and start feeling better, and my shoulders, even if I'm really tense, just doing that process of thanking someone, of feeling that moment of gratitude, actually it releases that tension. Totally
Exactly.
Amazing thing.
Exactly. Try and be angry and be grateful at the same time. Very difficult. So what I learned from this was that it's really important to do lists of things that you're grateful for. And so in the 5-Minute Journal, it gets you to do 3, but of course, because I've been doing this James Altucher 10, I come up with 10 every day. And so I think it's really important for you to think about yourselves right now. What are 10 things that you're grateful for? Yeah. Maybe even put one of those in the chat box right now. I'd love to hear it. We should have said, grab a pen and paper while you're doing this session, because there are so many exercises. Well, I think we should follow up after this with the exercises listed out so that you can really fully get into it. But if you can, while we're going along, think about what are 10 things that you're grateful for. It could be at any point in your life. It could be recent, it could be from a long time ago, just anything you're grateful for. I think you'll find it's going to change your outlook, make you feel more relaxed. And in that state, you'll be able to come up with far more ideas. Have you seen anything?
I've got one that absolutely is just stunning, and yes, weird. Harry Styles. Someone's very thankful for Harry Styles, which I think is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Home health. Yeah. Also, somebody else also grateful for Harry Styles. He needs to, amazing. We need to keep coming back to Harry Styles.
I think it's good. And I think you shouldn't be sorry for the things that you're grateful for, no matter how weird as well. So I think that was a good example. So brilliant. Absolutely. So it's like I heard Dave Grohl talk about how you shouldn't have, there's those bands that are like, you like, but you feel like you shouldn't like. And Dave Grohl was saying, nah, you should just don't be afraid to like what you like.
Those guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures, yeah. Just like it. Yeah. So I think that's cool.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next one, people buy from your friends. Go on, Spencer.
Yeah, so I came across this amazing article recently, and we'll try and share that actually as well afterwards, which is this idea of, people buying stuff from your friends. And therefore, in order to sell lots of things, lots of products, your services or whatever, you need to make lots of friends. And I love this idea. If you think about that, it is so true. Your friends are the people that hopefully you trust the most. And when you're buying something, especially if it's something you've never bought before, you want to buy it from someone that you really trust. And I think that we can take that message so we can really think about this message so much in order to make sure that what it is that we're giving value to, what we're trying to produce to people, what we're trying to sell them, what we're trying to offer them, what the pains and the problems that we're trying to help them with, if we can connect to them on an emotional level and with a friendship kind of mindset, then I think that can be an amazing thing to be able to do. So the big question for me when I look at this is, how do we make sure that we've got lots of friends? And therefore, how do we make it so that we can sell lots of things with that kind of trustworthy focus that we want to be able to sell things to our friends. So yeah, it's a really important thing, I think, to be thinking about. And it's a kind of a shift in mindset for a lot of people, away from this idea of selling products to random people, but actually try to build up a community of friends and make a lot of them, so that you can then sell those things, sell the products and the services that you have to those people.
Definitely. And I think like this comes back from, I'm reading this book at the moment, Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. And he talks about this idea in this book of who is your dream 100? Who are the people that your customers are already following? Who, or your dream customers, who are they following already? And then if you can make friends with them, potentially you can get access to their audiences too. And probably what will happen as well is those people that your desired customers are following are probably your heroes anyway. So and why not? You could actually like message them. That would be a really good idea. So who are these people that you could reach out to and see if you can get in touch with? So for example, one that I've got here, General Assembly. So we've made friends like with John and with the other, with a lot of other people at General Assembly, and that's enabled us to reach out and have opportunities like this to speak in front of you and connect with new people. So I think this is something that you all could try to do as well. And then we're both, Spencer and I, connected with the Power MBA, which is just launching in the UK, as well as Israel, Canada, Germany, and
the US, I think.
The US? No, maybe, yeah. And we're supposed to be ambassadors for it, so we're doing a good job of that. But we've reached out to them, and they've helped us get in touch with their community as well, which helped us broaden our reach. One of my like biggest ever heroes is Edward de Bono. Love this book, The Six Sneaking Hats. This is one of my favorite books ever. I reached out to him, and I was one of his first followers on Instagram, and then he created a YouTube channel, and I was his first subscriber. And I sent him a message back, and he said, "Give me your address. I'm going to send you a signed book." So I did it, and there you go. He actually signed my book. And you can tell it's really him because it's the shakiest autograph I've ever seen in my life. He's not so young anymore. So like reaching out to heroes is a really good thing to do. Alex Osterwalder, another hero of mine, he enabled us to, he wasn't able to do a talk, and he invited Spencer and I to do a talk for Innovate UK in front of 300 people as a result. So again, we were able to get through to his audience. David Bland, it was great meeting him. So I follow him, and we've had small conversations already. So that's super cool, because I'm like, oh, these people are all my heroes. So connecting with them has been really cool. Like Chris Doe, another hero of ours as well. Like, and that's the thing with a lot of these. Like, he's responded to me, but he's not really said a lot. But it's not like, you might not even get a response from a lot of these people, but it's about like connecting with them, creating a community, having a genuine interest. And then often what will happen is they will show that back to you, but you've got to show that interest in the first place. So Gail Berry as well, she is absolutely magnificent. What a brilliant businesswoman. And she's taught me so much, and she again has given me access to her audience, and shared my videos and asked me to do talks in front of her audience. And that's helped me get the attention that Spencer was talking about earlier, because you need that attention in the beginning. Or what Spencer's about to talk about, actually, sorry. and then you've got like Jonathan Courtney. I'm really impressed with what he's done with AJ and Smart, because what he did first was he reached out to Jake Knapp, the CEO of, the author of Sprint, and then he was able to make connections with him, build up a relationship, and then now he's like pretty much doing one of the most, he's created an online course for sprints, design sprints, that is like backed by Jake Knapp. And so it's doing really, really well. And it's been a great way to get his attention higher so that he could reach out and help more people. So I really recommend that you kind of do that and message your heroes, or message people that are in front of your audience already.
Yeah, just a quick one. We just had a question around whether we're able to share the titles of the books. We'll make sure that we follow up in email with all of the book recommendations and all the suggestions we're talking about. Get you a really good list of things to kind of immerse.
I'm also trying to see how many books I can show on this webinar as well.
Well, I've got a good one coming up, so that's one you're definitely going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So as Nick just mentioned, attention, he kind of jumped the gun slightly, but attention is key when you're looking to build up those friends. So as we just talked about, people want to buy things from their friends. How do you get lots of friends in order to sell eventually to them? The first thing we need to do is make sure that we're getting people's attention. And you get attention by basically creating content and giving people the value of what you can deliver them. This is exactly why we're doing this. We're doing this for free, but we see real value in giving something to somebody for nothing. And maybe, one day, we haven't got any products to sell at the moment. We may never have any products to sell, but we're giving you some value, and hopefully that means that we can get some of your attention. Once you have that attention, once you've got those eyes and those ears focused on you, and you're able to deliver value constantly, consistent value to people, you can start to think about how to put this into a funnel in order to make money out of it. Remember, at this point, you might not have a product. You're just looking to get people at the top of that funnel into the funnel, give them some value. And then once you start to sell at the bottom of that funnel, you turn people from slightly happy people that are getting some value to super happy faces that are then going to pay money for your products and for your services and the things that you can offer. So get that attention to start with. Think about how you can then start to bring that funnel together to start to get money, essentially, because let's not forget, any business, regardless of if you're a freelancer, you're creating a service, you're going from billion-dollar unicorn tech startup, whatever it is, money is the most important thing that's going to sustain your business. And that's what we need to really make sure we're doing. So this is a very different kind of mindset. And it's one that's focused on identifying your ideal customer. Okay. And therefore we'd love to, one of the questions that we often think about is, who are the 10 people your ideal customers follow? Because we need to be thinking about people like us do these kinds of things. These are the things that Nick mentioned about people like Chris Do and people like Jonathan Courtney. People that follow them are the people that might find our stuff kind of interesting as well. So you need to think and identify who those 10 people are. Why don't we spend a minute or two just going into the chat and just putting one person into that chat about that you think your ideal customers or your ideal future customers might follow on social media, something like that. So why don't we just share one person that you think your ideal customer might follow? If I set that
they
up,
could
right,
be,
Nick?
and they probably will be your heroes, because your ideal customer might look like you or might be you from a few years or a few months ago. So they could easily be your heroes too.
Oh, so we've got James Clear, absolutely phenomenal,
that's a
amazing
good one.
book. Yeah, Atomic Habits is awesome. Great newsletters as well. Really like that stuff. What else have we got? Loads that I will not recognize, but Dave Ramsey, we've got Simon Sinek, we've got the Gates Foundation coming through. Nice. Hannah Jacobs, apparently for animation and graphic design. I'm definitely going to check that out. Hannah Jacobs. Michelle Obama, talk about imposter syndrome. I think Melissa mentioned something about imposter syndrome. Maybe has a podcast. I think I remember earlier seeing that. Lucy McRae. Amazing. Some, good ones, Marlon James. So loads coming in.
What I'd say is that some of them
well.
are super high, right? That you might not even get a response from. So it's good to write those down and try and message them. Because I messaged, for example, Edward de Bono, and there you go. I've got a signed book from him. So you never know what can happen. But also at the same time, be messaging people that are maybe not as high on that level and maybe are on a slightly not so far ahead of you. Because that way that you're maybe more likely to get a response from them as well. But you want to get a range. So you want to be, hey, message Michelle Obama. You never know. There's 1 in a million chance it could come off. But equally, be messaging someone that you know, like a neighbor that's doing kind of what you're doing and they're kind of ahead of you. That would also be a good person to message as well.
And how can you give that person some value as well? How can you message them with something they're going to take away and go, oh, do you know what? That's amazing.
So in my case, I just said, Edward de Bono, I'm your first YouTube subscriber. That was massive value straight up. Yeah. So,
and the Chris Do one as well was awesome because you post something. He then asked how you did that specifically. So he wants to know. You've kind of got him reeled in, and then then you can feed.
It was funny because the Chris Do, what I did was I waited for a really good opportunity because Chris Do did a post about the 6 hats and said, "Does anyone know about it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know a little bit about that." And then just shared. He wanted to know more about it, so I literally shared it, and then that was cool. Great. Should we keep going?
Keep going, just to make sure that everyone knows this is being fully recorded. So you'll get access to the whole video. We're also recording it for our show as well from multiple locations, multiple angles. So don't worry, you will get all of this content, maybe even some cut down versions as well. So you can go for those top value points as well really quickly.
Great. So that one was people buy from their friends and make more friends. And then I think this is another one. Like right now, we talked about this idea that, well, you've got to make money. You can't, like in business, it's about making money. And so one way you can do that is reaching out to new people that you've never reached out to before. But another way that you can do it is to speak to people that you've already sold to. Because if you've been in business for a while, it's the easiest people to sell to are those that you've already sold to. So if you're going through a crisis right now, if you're struggling with financially at the moment, but you've been in business for a little while and you've delivered to a lot of clients, my number one piece of advice would be write a list of the 10 people that you've sold to that you could send a message to. My advice would not be to be too salesy. My advice would be to just say, hey, how's it going? Let's just set up a conversation and just find out how they're doing. And then as you naturally have a conversation, it will evolve maybe into perhaps them having a problem that you could help solve. That will naturally be what tends to happen. But your intention should not be to sell them something. Your intention should be to have a nice conversation and to be a nice human being and just trying to like keep up with them and see how they're doing. And then if the situation sounds like they've got a problem that you can help solve, then you could sell them something. So that would be my advice.
And I think so that's amazing if you're already in business, if you've been working for a little while, if you're a freelancer that's had some experience already. But there's a couple of people in the chat that I noticed that are just starting their consultancy practice or just starting some new things, or maybe they've been made redundant because of COVID. And so they're kind of figuring out where to start. What I would say in that situation with the old clients is, who have you worked with before? Who have you worked in bigger teams with? And what kind of clients has that bigger team worked with? Who could you reach out to? What 10 people that have you worked with in the past that you could reach out to and see whether they've got some difficulties that you can help solve? Again, not salesy, just kind of asking them how they're doing. And I've done this a bunch over the last few months through COVID. Actually, loads of people have been doing this over the last few months. I'm sure everyone's LinkedIn has been going crazy with loads of people reaching out. But if you're going about it in the right way to engage people in conversation, not a sale, then actually you can get some really interesting, good conversations happening that might lead over the longer term towards a new client or a sale or something. So definitely reach out to people that you've worked with before as well.
Totally. So salespeople you sold to. This maybe should be send messages to say hello to people you sold to is probably more appropriate. And that might result in a sale.
Always iterating, pretty agile.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite ones. And I think if there's nothing else that you take away from this session, let it be this, that focus on holes, not shovels. But what the hell does that mean?
What does that
Spencer,
mean?
go on.
Absolutely. So if anybody remembers back in their childhood, or maybe you've got children now, you might recognize this fella on screen right now. Does anyone in the chat, does anyone want to have a guess at who this is? It's a Mr. Something. So if anyone can guess it, I will be incredibly
100 points
impressed.
for the person that can guess
100 points. Yes! Woohoo! Mr. Nonsense. Amazing.
No way. Who was that? Who managed to get it right?
We've got so 2 people, Kelly Jones and Darren Southworth. Well done, both.
100 points to you two. You can cash those in for lots of love.
All participating retailers. Well done. It is indeed Mr. Nonsense. So why on earth are we talking about Mr. Nonsense? Seems a pretty nonsense thing to be doing. Well, here's the story. So I was reading, here's a book for you. We'll put this one definitely in the email. I've been reading Mr. Men books and Little Miss books to my kids pretty much for the last 7 or 8 years, but particularly during the lockdown, because I haven't been doing a 2-hour commute, which has meant I've missed it's kind of story time before bed. So I've been doing this with my kids recently, and I came across one story about Mr. Nonsense in this, which was just so relevant to me, so poignant. I wanted to share it. I thought it was really useful. So even in these, storybooks, we can get some amazing value. So this is all about Mr. Nonsense, of course. And what happened with Mr. Nonsense was that he bought a tree. He bought a tree for his garden. And then as he looked at the tree, this page here, as he looked at the tree, he realized he didn't have a hole to plant that tree in. Okay, so what are you going to do? He's got a tree. stuck in, you know, in the wrapper or whatever. It hasn't got a hole. So if he leaves it there, it's going to die. And that is a big problem for Mr. Nonsense. So what does he do? Of course, Mr. Nonsense goes to the hardware shop to try to buy a hole. And he wants to go and buy a hole, but the hardware shop is sold out of holes, because that's, you know, that's what he wants. It sounds completely nonsense to us in kind of sensible land for someone to want to buy holes, or even a shop to sell holes. But that's what he did. That's what he tried. But they didn't have any holes in the hardware shop because they'd sold out. Now, of course, what he has to do, therefore, is go for a really long walk and find the other hardware shop. He went walking and walking and walking until eventually Mr. Nonsense came to Sensible Land. And in Sensible Land, he went to the hardware shop and he asked for a hole. And of course, what do people do in a sensible place where they're asking for a hole? They just laugh. It's like, a hole? It's a ridiculous thing. I haven't got any holes. No one buys holes. And of course, what they gave him, what they sold to him, was a shovel. And for us, that makes sense, that when you want a hole, you would buy a shovel. But what I think, the lesson I think that we can take from this is that you really need to understand what your customers' pain points are, what they want, what they're, you know, not what the solution is. You really need to understand what the customer wants, what their needs are.
What's the benefit? What's the outcome?
Exactly. So the outcome is that, of course, with the shovel is a good, actually a good tool to create a hole. But what he really wanted was the tree in the ground so that it could flourish and grow. And maybe it's an apple tree and it can produce amazing fruit. But that understanding of that pain point, that problem that Mr. Nonsense in this case, but our customers generally are looking for, is a really important thing. And it's actually related to a thing called Jobs to be Done, a framework that I love. I come back to all the time, called Jobs to be Done, which is all about understanding the pains and the problems that your customers have so that you can deliver them a solution, a product that really works for them. And the example of the hole actually is one that a guy called Theodore Levitt came up with many years ago, which is nobody wants to buy a drill bit to have a hole in their wall. What they really want is a hole so that they can hang a picture. And I think this idea of getting into a point of kind of almost nonsense, verging on the ridiculous, to really understand your customer pain points can actually really help. So I think in this case, Mr. Nonsense, absolute pearl, a gem of wisdom about how to understand what your customer really wants to buy. Inspiration
is everywhere. You just need to be open to it.
You've got to be open to it. You've got to observe. You've got to listen. Keep those ears open. We had a comment about listening and observing about this, all this stuff earlier. So I think that's really, really useful.
Brilliant. So go on. Do you want to talk about these two now, the two different ways?
Yeah. And so there's two different ways that you approach this. Now, I'm a product person. I've been working as kind of head of product directors in various companies. And that's what I've done at my current company, is focused on product at Future Builders. And often we think about product first. It may be that we're doing a load of user research. We're understanding pain points and challenges that our customers have. But what we do is we take a product, a solution to our customer base. That's generally the thing that we think of first. But actually, there is a completely different approach. In fact, the opposite approach. And it's not that there's one way is better than the other, but it's just want to share with you this alternative approach, which is this idea of focus on your customers first. Even before you have a product, even before you know what solution you're going to build, focus on your customers, give them value, get that attention from your customers, that stuff that we talked about earlier. Then think about getting the funnel so that you can start to monetize that attention, and then serve them with the product that really solves those problems, solves those difficulties that those customers really have in a way that actually does it really well for them, but also in a way that does it really well for you as a business. That way that you can get maximum profitability and therefore have a much better chance of sustainable income and sustaining your business. So it's a really difficult, challenging one. And actually, Nick's challenged me a huge amount in my practice over the last few months about this, is I've often come from a product focused first. I'm really focused on the problem, but not necessarily on the actual customer, and generating all of these friends that then eventually turn to customers. Actually thinking about it in a different way is trying to get those friends, give them attention, and then figure out how to turn those into customers is a really, really interesting way. And especially amazing to be able to do this now in kind of the internet age. It feels like I'm talking in the 90s now, but with the power that we've got of online communities.
I'm going to make an internet business.
Exactly right.
So I think like when you're trying to put yourself in your customer's shoes, because that's what this takes, it helps to think about it in terms of a journey. What tends to happen with your customer is, if you think of it like this, your customer has a present state. It's where they are right now, right? But then your customer wants to go somewhere, okay? And that would be their desired state. That's where they want to be. That's the outcome that they want. And your job is to identify, where are they now? Where do they want to be? And what is the vehicle that they need to be able to get from one to the other? And how can you help them move faster from one to the other?
Exactly.
So if we think about it like this, we've got, so you can think about it as where the customer is the pains that they've got, the problems, the difficulties. Where they want to be is the gains, the outcomes, the benefits. And then you've got the vehicle, or the thing that's going to help them make the progress, which is the jobs to be done, the activities, or the progress. And so just to bring this back to Mr. Nonsense, do you want to just talk about how this relates to Mr. Nonsense again, Spencer?
Yeah, absolutely. So the pains, if you think of that present state that Mr. Nonsense has, he's got a tree that's sitting on the front lawn. It's going to die unless he gets it into the ground. So he needs to get that tree into the ground. The gain, of course, is that once he's got that tree, and he's visualizing this tree in the front lawn, beautiful growing canopy of apple, whatever it is that are growing, and that's the outcome that he's looking for. Now, the job that to be done, the jobs that he needs to do, the activities that he needs is to get a hole in the ground, get this tree into the ground and dig it in so it starts to grow. They're the jobs and the activities that you need to do. So therefore you need to sell to Mr. Nonsense the thing that's going to enable him to get to that desired state, get to those gains.
Perfect. Thank you. So I love this example because it maps so nicely to what we're trying to show. So think about this. What are your customers' jobs, pains, and gains? My advice would be to start with the pains and think about what are all the problems and difficulties that they've got. What's the outcome that they want? What's the gain? And then what's the job to be done in the middle? I'd say come up with 10, write them down, and then start speaking to your customers. And then you can talk to them and see if it's actually true what you thought, or whether actually it wasn't quite right. And then you can improve it and update it and iterate. So my advice, definitely get out your pens and papers and start doing that now. So I want to talk about a new product or service that I've been trying to build in relation to solving a real problem that a lot of people that I come into contact have. So I deliver a lot of workshops online, and for Google, I'm a facilitator trainer. So I deliver a lot of trainer sessions, and a lot of the trainers that I have a lot of difficulties or issues. And again, this is just outside of what I do with Google as well. A lot of people have got these kind of pains, gains, and jobs to be done. And I just want to mention what some of them look like. So they're finding it with delivering online workshops, they're finding it hard to engage with participants. They're worried that people are multitasking. I don't know how many of you are doing the washing right now at the same time of this session, but a lot of people, if you're trying to say we were delivering a short, smaller session, so with like 5 or 6 people, you probably don't want people multitasking. I think for this, because it's a much larger one, it's not so much of an issue. But then also tech issues. What happens if the internet goes out, or I don't know how to actually use the Zoom or stuff like that. Background noise. What happens in that situation? Like you've got builders knocking hammers around and all that stuff. John's experienced that one today. I'm lucky it wasn't me. I was waiting for the sirens to go off because that happened to me last week, actually. The outcome they want is a good feedback. The net promoter score, ideally, they'd like it to be 100. It's nice if you can get it specific. That's what they're looking for. Positive feedback and comments. They want people to have their webcams on so they can interact with one another. And they want everyone to be fully present. And the jobs that they've got to get from one to the other is they want to know how to transition from doing their sessions in person to doing them virtually. And they want to bring the skills and techniques that they use from a virtual world to the online world. And another job is deliver online workshops just generally. They want to learn how to use the technology so they can transition, and they want to feel confident delivering online. And so what I've been doing is trying to come up with some solutions to that. So I've come up with a webinar, an ebook, and an online course that I'm working on now to see if I can then help solve that issue for these people. And so some of the pain relievers, these are the features of the product or service that helps overcome the pains. Stuff like it's a step-by-step tech guide, which helps them engage participants. It's got like top interactivity tips, helps them with overcome tech issues and background noise and stuff like that. yeah, also including in that is interactive tools. And then you've got the game creators, which are the features that help enable the games. So you've got tips on setting ground rules. So you've got everyone having their webcams on at the beginning and making sure everyone's present and not multitasking. And you've got it's a comprehensive guide. I've put this in between the two because it's a little bit of both. Now the comprehensive guide helps them cover really all of those pains and all of those gains. So by mapping this out, it's really helpful because you get a really clear idea of what your customers need, and then you can help create a product that's really going to meet their needs. So that's why I really like using this tool. And then you can take all these little bits and put it on your website. It helps make it way easier to because I don't know if you ever tried to make a website and you get there, you're in Squarespace or whatever, Wix, and you're trying to type it in and you're like, what do I write? Well, if you've done this exercise first and you validated it by speaking to customers, it makes writing your website copy, your text, much easier. So we'll talk about this. The next step then is making the prototype. And Spencer, do you want to talk through this?
Yeah, I'm sure many people are kind of familiar with this idea of the MVP, the minimum viable product. Of course, it was kind of popularized hugely by the Lean Startup by Eric Ries, another book you should absolutely read if you have not. And it's this idea of making sure you're delivering the smallest or creating the smallest thing that adds value to your audience as quickly as possible in order to learn. And the key thing with an MVP is that you're learning from it. And so here's two examples of how you could choose to build an MVP. If you look at this top one, I think this came out from Spotify. The idea behind the top one is that you basically take your dream product, and then you take it, you take bits off it until you get to the smallest thing that you could build. And this is building a wheel, and then building two wheels and building a chassis and then putting it together to form a car. And this isn't viable. It doesn't do anything that we want it to do, because what we're looking to do is get someone from point A to point B. We're going from the desired position, location, to from current position or location to the desired future location that you're looking to get to. And the first way of doing it just doesn't get there. And it's going to be a really long time. You're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to waste a lot of money. The second version actually gets you, it fulfills that goal every single time. It might be a skateboard. It might be really slow. It might be impossible to skateboard 100 miles, but actually it could get you there theoretically. It is a viable solution. Put on some handlebars and you've got a scooter, turn that into a bike to get pedal power, put an engine in it, and you've got a motorbike. Each one of these stages, you're building something that actually works, it's viable, and you can learn from it to make sure that you're building something that's really, really useful.
Definitely, because the wheel's minimum, but it's not viable. Whereas the skateboard's minimum and viable. And actually along the bottom one, it's viable at every step. Whereas the top step isn't viable until the last one. So you've got an unhappy customer until the last step. Whereas you've got hopefully a fairly happy customer all the way along for the bottom one.
Nick, we are running fast out of time, so let's get through these next few slides.
Let's fly through these so we've got time for the Q&A. So just to give you some ideas, what I did first was I got a Jamboard and spoke to about 150 people that have got the problem that I want to help them solve. Probably about 5 or 10 people at a time, and I identified what all their problems were, put them on a Jamboard, and then gave them my solutions straight away. So that was the first version. Then what I did was I created an ebook based off of the solutions that I was giving. And so I've written a 12,000 word ebook now about how to do online workshops. Then what I did was I sold a workshop to a separate part of Google for their trainers in Belgium, and delivered a 90-minute session twice to help them deliver online sessions. And now what I've done is created a landing page to sell an online course. So you can see that I've got the Jamboard and the solutions. Then I've got an ebook. I've got a webinar that I created, and then an online course that I'm trying to sell, like how to deliver workshops in an online digital video course. And then now I'm going to see where it's going to go. But you can see at each stage it works, and that's the process that I've been going through to kind of build this MVP, I suppose, and build it out. So hopefully that helps. That gives you an idea. By the way, if you're interested in it, if you do deliver workshops, go to nickkimmo.com/course if you want to sign up for that. But obviously you can just look at it as well to see how I've done it, and you can analyze what I've used and maybe apply it to your own ideas as well. So those are the 5 gems. Just to wrap up: 1, creativity is a muscle. Gratitude is a superpower. You're going to be miming each one of these.
I don't know what I'm going to do next.
People buy from their friends. I don't know. There we go. Hey, good, nice. Sell to people you've sold to, or send nice messages to people you've sold to. It's me writing a letter.
Nice.
Focus on holes, not shovels. There you go. That was easy. So that's pretty much us. Before we go on to the Q&A, if you've got value from anything that we've done and you like what we've covered and you want to find out a bit more, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us out. We'd love it if you could subscribe to that. But I think pretty much, let's just go for Q&A. We'd love to, hear what questions you've got and answer them. And again, we're happy to stay for as long as you like. We've got 9 minutes until the end of the session, but we can keep going beyond it if there's plenty of questions.
Fantastic. Random question, but I love it. And Nick, I'm sure will love this as well, which is, which mics are we using?
Go on, Spencer. Spencer's actually an audio engineer. He studied audio engineering at university. And so go on, Spencer.
Yeah. So for the last, for as long as I've been doing this, I've been using a Rode Procaster mic, which is the black version that I've got here. And this is great if you've got an audio interface. It's a separate audio interface because it's only got an XLR socket. So you need to have an audio interface separate for it. When Nick was talking about getting a mic as well, a better mic setup for him, this version is the Rode Podcaster, which is basically the same mic, pretty much the same mic, but it has an inbuilt audio interface. So it just comes out as a USB, which is amazing, really good quality. I think hopefully it sounds really good to you guys as well. But yeah, the Rode Procaster and the Rode Podcaster are the mics that we use. And I think they're nice because they're similar but different. So Rich has said a very nice glowing comment. We are awesome. Thank you so much. It's so good to hear. What would be your ideal future project to work on? It's a really big question, a really good one. I think for me, I absolutely love seeing people get value from the stuff that we're doing. And that sounds a bit corny, but I used to be a teacher and I love the impact of actually seeing firsthand what's people moving on, people making progress in their lives, getting better, all those kind of things. So anything from me that enables people to be their best self is kind of where I am in the money, right on the money. I'm really interested in, I don't know, Nick, what about you? What big projects, ideal future projects for you?
My favorite thing in life, I think people that know me, my favorite thing is to go, wow, I've just found this amazing new thing. Like everyone needs to know about it. And so what I think is really powerful with the internet is that you can create videos and then just like explode it so lots of people can see. Like even if it's like 50 people watch your video, that's still like, you'd be super happy to have 50 people come to a talk that you do still. So even if you've got 50 people that watch a video and you're sharing something that you genuinely found interesting and valuable, that's one of my favorite things to do in the world. So like the big project is consistently every week producing videos, doing the Spen and Nick show, doing my own videos as well, and just sharing stuff that I'm passionate about. And hopefully somebody out there finds helpful as well. If I can do that, then I'm happy.
Totally. Okay, Nick.
Thanks very much, Ammo, as well. Go ahead, Spencer.
I was just going to say, can you see some questions? Okay, so we've got EB Hill or Eb Hill. I'm not too sure. Fellow audio engineer. Hey, awesome. Struggle to see how the product, the music adds value and takes away a problem. Okay, this is a really interesting one. So how does, I guess, music, what value does that create for people?
Well, I think this is a nice one to think about. What was that? There's a really famous, there's that singer-songwriter from the US that's really famously done this using social media. Like she was using like MySpace and stuff in the beginning. I'm not a huge fan, like she's a pop artist.
Don't know.
Oh man. Basically what she did was she just started messaging her fans. And so she would actually respond to every comment. So bringing value can be making sure that you respond to everyone and actually creating a human connection. By doing that and bringing value to them, particularly in the early stages, can help you kind of grow. So that would be one thing that immediately comes to mind. But Spencer, do you want to jump in on top of that first?
Yeah, I think if you kind of go through that abstraction, if you like, of jobs to be done, why do people listen to music? actually it could well be that they feel an emotional connection. And so if you can tap into that emotional connection and they feel happy, or they get the reward, the emotional state that they're looking for as a result of that music, then you're kind of satisfying that problem, that pain, that thing that people have. So I think of music as that an emotional connection to someone, on a really, often a very deep level. So if you can tap into that, I think that you can really be adding that additional value. It's a really tough one. I think creative people, creative endeavors, creative businesses, it's sometimes more difficult to get that understanding of the pain that people have, but there is always a problem that people have when it comes to even with the creative world.
I think, just to think outside of that slightly, I remember I'm a drummer, I'm a musician as well. I studied music at university, and I feel like when I was at school and then I learnt about like rock and metal, I never felt like I was part of anything. But then when I found out about rock and metal music, I felt like I became part of this bigger thing, and I started growing my hair long, and I felt part of a community. Now, if I had reached out to my heroes and they messaged me back, that would have helped me feel more part of that community even more. So if you're a musician and you're reaching out to your community and making them feel more of a part of it, that's helping them with their job to be done, which is feel like they're something part of bigger than themselves. So if you can do that, that would be you helping them do that. And your product is not just the music. Your product is everything: your brand, your reputation, messaging, the experience that your listeners get outside of the songs as well. So I think that's helpful, hopefully.
Awesome.
I love some of these. There's some good questions, like Nico's and Jasmine's. Go on.
I was going to ask you to check out Nico's.
I want to do Nico's. I really like Nico's.
Go ahead.
So I used to sell. So my background is also, I've got a weird background. So I'm a musician, but I also lived in Australia. And for 6 months, I was selling door-to-door, B2B websites and SEO. And I find that what I found was, in the beginning it was fine and I was selling very, very well. But then I started becoming quite disillusioned that the product I didn't feel was working quite as we were told that it would. And it wasn't quite delivering the outcomes that I thought it was supposed to. And I was selling it. If you don't believe in your product, it's very hard to sell it. And I think that you should never try to sell anything that you don't believe in. So the key thing is to make sure that you 100% believe in your product. And if you do that, then it's fine, because it doesn't matter with their friends or whether they're strangers. Like, you believe in it, you know it's going to change people's lives. If that's genuinely your belief, you won't have any problems.
Yeah, and I think I'd add a little bit, which is what we're talking about here with regards to friends is like a whole load of social friends. Okay, we're not talking about necessarily your best friend, the person that you might go down to the recently reopened pub with. What we're talking about here is trying to get a community, essentially, like of people that are interested in the value that you can give to them. So I think if you're giving them value and you've got their attention, then the product that you eventually create, because all of this is pre-product, right? The product that you eventually get is something they're going to want, and that you've found out from them. You've kind of done that. You've built up that relationship with them. You found out that it's something that they have real value, that they will have real value in. You know enough about that customer and those customers to know what they want, and therefore you produce the thing that they really want. It's not about selling as such. It's about building up that community of friends, and therefore being able to create the product that serves them, that serves their problem and solves their problems. Really great one from Jasmine. How long did it take from having a viable business idea and executing enough to make money? Oh, wow. I've done pretty much every spectrum of this. So from bootstrapping an idea, as Nick talked about earlier, bootstrapping his idea from nothing to basically making money in just a couple of weeks, as that exact process that Nick went through just there. And I've done something else, which is the opposite end of that spectrum, which has gone through seed funding, not having a business model, spent maybe 2 years building a product with a whole load of venture funding and etc., and then still not being able to capitalize and build something that people really wanted. And for me, that is almost like it's being given money and it's almost fake. It doesn't feel like it's a real thing. For me, it's much better to get value, to give value, and to start to commercialize as quickly as possible. So I try to go, and the real test And the experiment that you want to be running when you're thinking about businesses and product ideas is someone going to pay for that thing? And therefore, I think it's really important that you try to figure out a business model as early as possible and try to execute and make money as quickly as possible, rather than kind of giving away for free and then trying to commercialize later. There are business models that work, or businesses and products that work with that mindset. Definitely. That's not to
I think there are
belittle
exceptions,
those,
right? Skype,
they're
Facebook,
exceptions.
they're exceptions. For us right now, we need to make money early on. And we can't and also we can't all get investment right now. It's probably going to be more and more difficult to get investment in this climate. So I think you need to be making money straight away, and asking people to get their credit cards out is probably the best way to do that.
Absolutely.
But with my idea, I managed to come up with this idea of a course for helping people deliver online workshops, and I got paid like for that first workshop, the first 2 workshops that I did, and it went from idea to doing the workshop and getting paid in like under a month. So that's been quite quick. But now the next stage is creating the online course, and still I'm just testing interest for that. So I don't know how long this is going to take, but I've been waiting a long time because this is my own business now. I've been waiting a long time to try and find a community that have got a problem that I know that they need, and the time is right. Because you can have a community that has a problem that you can create a product for, but what can happen is that the problem is not a burning problem, and it's a nice to have thing to solve, not a desperate thing to solve. Whereas people delivering workshops online, if they're a trainer or a facilitator, it's burning. They have to do it. So this is quite an interesting one that I'm trying to work on quickly now, because it's it's a burning platform, which I don't like using that term, but that's what it is at the moment.
A great question. By the way, we are over 2:00. So if people are dropping out, absolutely great. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We're going to carry on. There's probably 1 or 2 more questions, I think. Definitely one from Ben that I want to answer. So we'll finish this one off. And then if there are any other questions, then we're happy to stick around. But Ben, your question is absolutely fantastic, particularly your very last step there, or last sentence, which is first step is where I struggle. And the reason that I relate to this is that the first step is so often the place where people struggle the most. I've got an idea, but I don't know how to get started. I'm going through exactly Nick's process myself at the moment. I'm writing an ebook. I've done a whole load of focus groups and kind of questionnaires and these kind of things to understand where people struggle. They're all saying, I've got an idea, but I don't know what the first steps are. So I'm creating an ebook to help people try to figure out what those first few steps are. When that's done, Ben, I'll be very happy to share it. Even maybe send it over to you in its current form, just to get some ideas about where that could be. But here's the thing. Your first step needs to be the smallest thing that you can do in order to give someone value. I've got an idea that Nick is going to say something about create content, get on YouTube, create your first YouTube channel, build up your community. Is that right? Are you going to say that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the number one thing you got to do. First of all, is create content. Because if you create a community that's dead, that no one's posting on, it's not a thing. First of all, create content that people are excited about, and then funnel them into a Slack channel, or you could use a Mighty Network, or you could use some other platform that you could get as part of the community. Just start it. I think the minimum viable product is a newsletter. And if you like making videos, make videos. I would say you should make videos, is the best way, but also maybe start a podcast, and that way, grow it up that way, and then funnel it into a community would be my advice.
And Ben, I think I saw that you were talking about something about habits and helping people form new habits. So there's so much content and I think you were talking about James Clear earlier as well. There's so much content that you can create. Quick 5-minute YouTube videos. It doesn't have to be anything complex. When we very first started our videos, we're still using cameras, phones for the cameras, but we just simply had a camera. It looked awful, but we got it done. And the thing is, aim to improve with every video that you do. And then by the time you've done 10, by the time you've done 20, by the time you've done 100, the quality is going to be absolutely spot on. And you'll start to build out your own community just from that high value content. That's what I would absolutely recommend.
Cool. I think we've pretty much covered all the questions there, haven't we?
I think we have. Yeah. I don't know if there's any others that came through the chat, but I think.
One thing though that I would like to ask you is, could you share what were your 2 key takeaways from this session? Because I think a couple of people have already done it, and I found that really interesting. So, Hrithvika, my pronunciation is terrible. I apologize for that, but I really like that you shared that you like the MVP and the Mr. Nonsense thing. What I'd like to know, what were your 2 key takeaways? So could you share those in the chat box? Because it's really interesting for us to know, so that next time we do maybe this webinar again, or if we make a new webinar, we know kind of what people are taking away.
You were just talking about, I saw your comments about transitioning into design. We did a show called Designers Design a while ago, which is all about, if you want to be a designer, the one thing you've got to do is just design. Once you are designing stuff, you are a designer. That's all you need to do. And practice makes progress. Just keep practicing.
By the way, thank you so much, Darren and Marisol. And Miriam, for sharing your key takeaways. That's so helpful. Keep sharing your takeaways. I think this would be really good. Mr. Nonce, thanks, Kerry, as well. Harshini, do you think the key to creating is consistency or quality of each creation? I think that's pretty much what you just answered, right, Spencer?
Yeah, consistency is the key. I think quality comes when you practice consistency. There is a bit of a model that we've been starting to think about that maybe Nick will talk about. But for me, if you can build up that habit and build up that consistency, then your quality is going to improve every single time.
I'm personally quite proud of what we've delivered today, and those slides. I think they're like, I personally think that what we've created is like world class. This is a really, like, in my opinion, I'm really proud of myself for this presentation that we've created. But I don't think that we could have done it if this was our first one. Right. What we've done is we've been talking every week about stuff that we're passionate about. Okay. And so that means that we're talking to each other about ideas and developing those ideas. And also what we've done is create a lot of carousels, and also like we're thinking about our ideas and ways that we can visualize them in every week. And by doing that, it's helped us build our muscle. And from doing that meant we were able to create this quite quickly. But I think the result has been really good. So the quality comes out of having done consistently coming up with stuff. Thanks, Amma, for the nice comment about the slides. Thank you.
I think, how about that seems like a bit of a big question to answer. And I think we probably should be looking to wrap up. Why don't, whoever wrote that one, I think it's anonymous, but please reach out, ping that question into for us on LinkedIn or onto Instagram. It's probably best. So the Spencer Ayres on Instagram for me, Nick Himo on Instagram for Nick, or Spen and Nick for the Spen and Nick show. That comes to us both as well.
I'm happy to share a more in-depth answer to that.
Yeah.
I think we've both got quite a long answer to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we can do that.
I'm just thinking of John here as well, listening in. John, if you want to jump in and stop us at any point, mate, feel free to.
Yeah, no, perfect. I think I'm just conscious of time, and if people need to kind of jump off, but I think, like you mentioned, we are recording this event, so the people that might have jumped off here and there can watch the recording back. But no, this has been amazing. This has been great. I'll send you those Q&A questions as well. Get to them in your own time. Create blogs. I don't know, a YouTube video or something. You guys will think of something epic to do. But no, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. And hopefully we can do something again in the coming months.
We're looking forward to it. You've been an absolute legend. Thank you, everyone, so much. Look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste and everything.
Yes. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.